So, welcome to the Within podcast. And today I have two beautiful people at the table, a love couple, a business couple, a tantric couple, and what else? So, welcome James and Taina.
Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Esther.
Maybe you can do a little introduction on yourself. Because I thought, okay, I can say, hi, James Stevenson. And Taina, how do I pronounce your last name?
Well, I publicly go by my middle name. So my first and middle name, Taina Ixchel. And it's a way that I can honor both my Puerto Rican and Mexican roots. Super sideline. My first name, Taina, are the indigenous people of Puerto Rico. They were the Taino Indians. The women were the leaders of the tribe. So also like strong, independent leader woman. And Ixchel is a Mayan goddess. The Mayans were people in Mexico and much of Central America as well. And so it has both Mexico and Puerto Rico as well as like goddess and queen in my name. And it's a way that I can honor my ancestors and my roots while traveling the world, helping people wake up to more love.
Wow, that was not a coincidence, your name.
And my name's just James. There we go.
Just James.
The seventh.
Another ordinary James, yeah. No, but what would you, because you told a lot of nice things about that, it's also your work, your mission, like you have this priestess, something with priestess in your website's name, right?
Yes, my branding is Power Priestess, which is also my website, powerpriestess.com.
Yeah.
Because Taina Ixchel is hard to pronounce and hard to remember, so I needed something easier. And Power Priestess sums up a bit of the work that I do, a lot of the work that I do.
Yeah.
Which is helping people to remember and awaken and activate the power they have within, the power that it is their birthright, that they were born creator, that they are one with source itself, that there is no limits except the limits that they place on themselves. And so that's my mission, is to help people to live, be, and do and have without limits who they came here to be, to live their full potential and awaken as love.
Yeah, so I don't have to ask any questions. We go into the depth immediately. That's good. So what about you, James?
Yeah, so Awaken as Love was kind of my child, as it were, from about 10 years ago. And it was based on, I think, me trying to make sense of everything I'd done and my world. So it includes, we say that it stands on 4 different pillars. It includes Tantra, obviously, Biodanza, which is a system of personal development through movement and archetypal postures. And then there's integral theory, which is kind of like a map of everything. It kind of encompasses everything to some degree. And then, of course, shamanism as well. So I'd been kind of working in all of those fields for numerous years before that. And I'd been organizing Tantra festivals and dance festivals around the planet. And it kind of all came together in Awaken as Love. And it turned out it's not just my passion or my vision. There's a lot of other people who had that same idea and vision. And so it's grown into a movement these days, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a big movement and I'm a big fan. I've been to several festivals, to the training, to India, to Portugal, and of course a couple of times in Holland. So you have it on different places in the world. Where did you start?
Yeah, I think the first festival that I ever created was in India. And that was in Delhi, a beautiful little center called Zorba the Buddha. And that was one of the original Tantra festivals on the planet at that time. There wasn't so many. And since then, we added California, Portugal, the Netherlands, Tulum, Goa now. So... yeah, it's spreading.
So when did you start that movement? Because nowadays it's getting more known, like Tantra and the rest. But we're talking about 10 years ago or longer, or...
About 2013 was the first festival I did. And then the first kind of Tantra festival, I think, was about 2012 or 2011 in Osho Lila. And then everyone thought this is a good idea, and it slowly spread out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. And so you joined somewhere along the road.
I did.
What happened there? How come?
I met this man and our lives combined. And this was a mission that I was already in alignment with. So before actually coming to Awaken as Love, way back during my esoteric process where a Zen enlightened master took me under his wing and trained me in Tantra and Zen and meditation and all sorts of different things for over a year and a half in a old school teacher-student transmission. And he told me at the end that it was my destiny to teach this love. So I had been doing my own thing for a while, and I'd been teaching in San Diego, and I'd been hosting women's circles monthly for 7 years, and sharing my own Tantra events and things. And a mutual friend of ours, Monique Darling, who we love dearly, and her partner, Peter Peterson, were like, you have to come to a Tantra festival with us in California. And at the time, I was such a purist that I was like, that's not Tantra. And for those of you who start exploring more in the Tantric world, you'll start to see that there are the classical Tantrikas that are more old school with the mantras and the mudras and the chanting and the chakras, and is beautiful and powerful and important. And then you also have the neo-tantrikas, which are more about the sacred sensuality. And a lot of times when people confuse tantra with just about sex, it probably has some overtones of the neo-tantric field. And what we love to share is integral tantra, where we bring both together. But before that, I was very into the classical, more old school, that's not Tantra. And they finally convinced me to come to a Tantra festival in 2019, in which James was the organizer. And I met him then, but we didn't connect then. We both had other partners. And it wasn't until a couple of years later, past the pandemic, and once we were both free of those partners, where we re-met and our love story began. And he invited me to start teaching with him all over the world and sharing this love of this beautiful work, this body of work that he's created. And I absolutely adore it. So it was a no-brainer for me to jump on board and go, let's do it.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you started with all this like for your own personal process, like to grow, or what happened in your life that you like went into this world and like do all those different things?
Sure. Let's see if I can be concise. It's
been a while.
Story. It began with asking the questions, what is really going on here? Who am I? I was raised born again Christian, and I had a really beautiful connection, still have a really beautiful connection with the divine my whole life. And it wasn't until about my 20s where I was in relationship with a Native American man who honors Creator, and asked me if I believed he was going to hell. And I was stomped, because according to the Bible and Scripture, and according to what I was taught, was that if he hadn't accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, he would. But that didn't make any sense to me when I take into consideration an unconditionally loving God. To throw someone in hell means there's conditions. So this started jarring my, like, what's happening here? And so I started praying and asking, like, what's really going on? What is this? Who am I? Why am I here? And those questions kept getting louder and louder, until I started getting guided in the direction of answers that I didn't expect to find, including one where, the beginning was I kept hearing I had to go to a specific bookshop, which I had never been in before. And I didn't know why I should go, but it kept getting louder and louder, especially when I was asking these questions. So I finally went my way to the bookshop and heard, go to the back. I went to the back. Found a bookcase. I heard, stick your hand out in front of you. I pulled the book out, and the back of the book says, you've been asking questions, and I've been trying to answer. And now that it's in black and white in front of you, will you listen? So I opened the book, and there were my questions, and I started getting really excited. And what about the dinosaurs? And all these other things. And I turned the page, and there's the questions that I just asked. So,
wow.
Yes. So I got the book.
Yeah.
And it was Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. And it was a perfect book because it had the languaging that I was used to from my upbringing, but it started to introduce new concepts and even address the unconditional love, which was a big piece. So I'll fast forward to lots of other experiences after that, but it was this desire to know myself that opened a portal, that me asking, and I believe that that's all of our birthrights. As we start to ask these questions, who am I? Why am I here? What's this about? Then the universe starts to offer answers in ways that we can hear, ways that we can understand if we have the courage to follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
and so that's what
and
started
if we
it all.
listen.
Yes, and
A lot of people ask questions and don't even listen to the answer, of course. And did you also experience like what sometimes you get answers? So that's what I experience. Sometimes I try to, I don't know, I do course, a certain method, and you feel like, oh, now I've found the answer. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, that was the answer for a little while, but now there's a new question coming up. And now it's a new, like sort of your new truth is coming up layer by layer, sort of like that.
I love that. Can I answer this one?
Yeah.
Because you'd mentioned integral Tantra before, and I think it's interesting for people to start to see whether Tantra has gone through these various stages. So it's known within Buddhism that it's gone through like 3 distinct stages, and they're talking about a 4th turning of the wheel. And it's the same with classical Tantra, the more ancient scriptures and practices. Neo-Tantra was that's actually from Osho Sannyasin, so it was including a little bit of more kind of Western psychotherapy as well as some classical scriptures. And then we'd say like the kind of postmodern New Age, which involves all the play parties and
the dark rooms.
The dark rooms that someone was asking about.
We joked about, yeah.
So all those things are kind of coming under that umbrella. And integral Tantra is working with all these different things, but it's applying integral theory into it. And that's where it becomes really interesting for me. And I think it answers your questions about, maybe something works for a while and then you outgrow it. So why are we outgrowing things? Because there's development there. And so integral Tantra starts to look at how are we developing. It's not just a path of waking up. It's not just a path of becoming more aware of who you are. It's also a path of growing up. And that happens slowly over time, where structures are built in place. And a lot of these kind of earlier forms of Tantra might have this same idea, like this is not Tantra, because they're coming from an absolutist perspective where their way of waking up is the true one. That's what they discovered, and so that's what makes sense.
Yeah.
Nothing else is valid. Once we start to expand our vision and our perception, then we start to see there's many paths up the mountain.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's not that one is right or one is wrong.
Yeah.
So it's really good for people to explore many different things that are probably going to activate different aspects of their being.
Yeah.
And I don't think just one of those is important. I think the fuller the rainbow you can be, the fuller your awakening, the fuller the embodiment of that can be. So that's what integral Tantra is working with. It's like a really wide picture and a really big perspective on ourselves, but also on the cosmos and where are we going.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think when you have like one method and you think, okay, this is it, and you're excluding other people or other methods, it brings disconnection. And what we're looking for is connection within ourselves, and not like the how do you say that? When you have a prejudice to one another. Yeah, that's not what it's about. So yeah, it's like everything is Tantra, actually, if you want to see it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you, so did you like make the name Integral Tantra, or is it really a specific?
I think I was probably the first one using it. There are other integral things. So integral theory comes from a man called Ken Wilber, but it's expanded to include works of people who are like more at the turn of the century, such as Sri Aurobindo. He was the person behind the Auroville, this huge kind of Andromeda-shaped kind of eco-village in India that has the largest crystal in the world. So it's a very kind of like East meets West teaching. So it's combining. Osho did that as well. So there's a lot of people kind of who've been using this combining of different modalities and different approaches. But I don't know who else was using the word integral Tantra. I realized that Tantra also has an integral aspect to it. And the natural bedfellows, because both are about integration. Both are about the middle path of like where things combine. The alchemy occurs when Shakti and Shiva are present, not just one of them.
Yeah, yeah. And isn't it also about like viewing things from different sides, like from like really feeling like, okay, how does it feel for me? How can I be the one who is viewing it, and then from there feel it from there? That's also part of that, right? Of that.
Absolutely different perspectives. So we'd call them, they talk about them in terms of the quadrants, the 4 quadrants in integral theory. And you have a first person perspective, which is your inner reality. You have a second person, kind of like the objects. You have a third person, like the we that we create together, and fourth person starts going to systems. And that can keep expanding. We can keep kind of adding more and more perspectives or degrees of separation.
Yeah.
And what that means is we start to include more in our vision. When we're first born, like we're very egocentric in a way. It's all just about our immediate needs, even though it doesn't look that way. They look very innocent.
Yeah.
But unconsciously, it's just fused ego. And there's a process of differentiation that occurs when we start to separate ourselves from that oceanic oneness and realize that we're a distinct being in ourselves. We start to put our big toe in our mouth and other objects, and we're starting to explore and go, okay, this is me. That's not me. This is mother. This is this. And that vision or that identity can grow and include more within it. And so that's why sometimes in the training I say there's not a problem with your ego, it's just too small. And what I mean by that is I don't want people like crazy egocentric, but if you're able to include like what's happening in Gaza right now, if you're able to include Russia, what's happening with the ecosystems, you're not just me and my country or my direct environment.
Yeah.
You've got a wider vision that you're able to feel empathy and take responsibility for.
Yeah, so it's all about including everything and widen your perspective on things. And
it's one of the key phrases within integral theory is the way to move from one stage of development up to the next one is to, they say, transcend and include. I would actually say you need to include first. So you need to include all the perspectives there.
yeah,
And then
transcend.
Yeah, then there's this kind of which is larger than the sum of its parts. Some novelty, something new emerges, new characteristics. So that's really fascinating for me.
And how does this all translate to a Tantra festival? How do you bring in all those things, all your experiences? So the shamanism, the biodanza, the integral theory. How do you, because the festival is all about experiencing, right? How do you like translate and put all this in, and then it works out in a beautiful, loving festival?
Hopefully. Well, I can start
That's
and
the
then you
goal.
can
Of
maybe
course.
add on to
As
that.
we said, you can be triggered as fuck, but yeah.
So all of these elements, we're actually adding more shamanism. Before we were focusing more on Tantra, and as we've gone over time, we're starting to peel away the mask and go, we're not just Tantra here, although everything you can say is Tantra.
Yeah.
We've been using Biodanza for a long time because it's a great way to integrate people. People come to the festival, they might not know anyone else yet. And so we have these silly games that feel almost a little bit childish, but they work because people start laughing, they get to meet many different faces, they have moments with lots of different people, and then already they start to feel a little bit in home. Then we put them into sharing groups, so every day they share with the same people. So they've got an anchor point there. This time we had a fire walk. We used to do sweat lodges in the past. And I've got, behind the scenes, we use a lot of, we don't say it so much explicitly, but the integral theory and a lot of different tantric theory is there. So we take people on an arc of a journey, peaks a little bit in the middle, and then towards the end, we're integrating people making sure their identity is packed up before they go home. So
yeah, great. So can you share a little about the whole journey, because it is a concept. It has like a road. It goes a bit up and then it goes down. So could you share a little more about, okay, what can people expect when they come to this amazing festival?
So I'd like to add that some of the cornerstones of Tantra are vulnerability and authenticity and freedom, being your true self. And so the games and the workshops and the arc are all designed to help strip away what isn't real, strip away what no longer serves, to let go of the masks, to let go of the pretenses, to let go of having to be any certain way other than who and what you already are, which is perfect, just as is. And so with the games and the workshops and the different opportunities to connect is a tuning in to who are you right now and letting that shine. And maybe that's processing something that was painful from the past. And so you're crying and you're releasing, but you're healing, which allows even more of you to come through and to shine. So whether it's a workshop or ecstatic dance or temple evenings or the cacao ceremony or different ways where we're interacting, it's all tantric, because again, we're coming together with, let's release what's not serving anymore. Let's let go of who we really aren't. And let's really step into who we are right now, right here. How can we let more joy in? How can we let more of ourselves in? How can we share that with others through intimacy and connection and play and fun? And we're in really soft, vulnerable, raw spaces. The whole gambit is there. And the opportunity to go through an entire journey of that, whereas there's laughing, there's crying, there's healing, there's connecting, can be present.
And I think there's a nice arc within it that we go on that journey. But one of the jokes I often make when we first arrive is that a lot of people are getting to their emotional bodies. They're feeling things they haven't felt for a long time. And the expectations that people arrive with is, one, they might be scared as hell. What's going to happen? Is everyone a freak? Or they're expecting to have lots of connection and lots of sex. And I laugh like, well, you might have come here for that, and then you find yourself crying in the woods, So,
Yep.
but that's included. That's part of it.
Yeah.
So I love the authenticity that people come with. Of course, sexuality is a part of it, and we work very strongly with boundaries and consent. Absolutely. So all the expectations and fears that people come with, very quickly, I find that those start to fall away. And it's an experimental place without expectation on people. There's nothing you have to do. So you're not forced into situations. In fact, you're encouraged to really know what your truth is moment to moment and to respond from that. And we'll keep reminding participants that the best Tantra is when you can really honor your own boundaries in yourself and the boundaries of someone else. So it's not about going way beyond your comfort zone. It's maybe just about stepping up to the edge and experimenting. And people are at choice the whole time.
Yeah.
There's multiple different workshops. There's ones that might be a bit theoretical, ones which are maybe more heart-based, ones which are more sexual. And there's temple evenings where they can explore that even deeper if they want. There's also concerts, there's hot tubs, there's saunas, there's outside, there's peacocks, there's
Yoga.
Breath work. There's plenty of other things that someone will find something they feel comfortable with. So it's a different journey for everyone.
Yeah, and as you said, it's also between all those things. It's like the connections you have during dinner or when you sit alone on the grass and integrate, or it's the whole bubble. So what do you do to make it safe? You said some things, but could you explain a bit more about the safety in the festival?
Yeah, so we have love angels who are really emotional support people, and they're assisting workshops. They also have time every day where they'll sit there and people can approach them if they need to cry or have a hug or just to be heard. And so we've got supporters there. And a lot of the participants are experienced as well, and they'll see people who are a bit new and maybe support them. But we encourage people, like the first off is boundaries and consent, that people don't do anything that's against their truth. So you're not forced into anything. The other thing is we create a real heart space. So we say all of your emotions, all of your vulnerability is welcome here. And we keep reinforcing that. And we're working to turn the energy in, to meditate, to not just come from reaction, but to stop and consider and to breathe and to see that it is a very shamanic journey. We say that it's almost like a tantric field is created where things are elevated. So stuff comes up much quicker, the bliss as well as maybe the tears. It's much more accessible, and so it can feel very shamanic in terms of that. That it's even happening in people's dreams at night.
Yeah. So is it like the concept makes the feel rise, or is it something specific you do? Like, okay, we have a team. We're going to like walk through the building and I don't know, get the evil spirits out and rise the energy there.
You want our secret sauce? I don't know if we're allowed to share that.
Well, I think one of the things is we really do take the time to practice consent and boundaries, to really help people reframe yeses and nos. And really to, instead of answering right away or falling into people pleasing, we help people to tune into their bodies, to take breaths, to take a moment, to feel into what's true for them, and to really move forward only if they really want to. And if they say no, then we also teach people how to take that and celebrate that person for taking care of themselves, as opposed to seeing it as a rejection. And so we give the opportunity to really practice that, even like step by step, right from the beginning. Even just if you're always going in to hug people, like take a breath, just make eye contact first and really feel into it. Then maybe you just want to get a little bit closer and hold hands, And so we take them slow and step by step and give tons of opportunities throughout the whole festival to practice asking for what you want and also rejecting what you don't, but then also celebrating those who've given you a no, because it also means that you can trust their yes. Because they've given you a no, you know that they will say yes when they really mean it and not out of people pleasing.
But you're also right, because there is design and a lot of design behind the festivals. And I think that's one of the things that makes Awaken as Love festivals feel different, because we get that feedback a lot. So even though it's not explicitly there, we are working with theory from Biodanza. So the identity, for example, one of the things Rolando Toro, the creator of Biodanza, worked with was people's nervous system, the parasympathetic, like when you're relaxed and in ease, and the sympathetic nervous system, kind of like action, doing stuff. And he had this great idea that totally failed, to go in psychiatric hospitals and play very soft, calm, soothing music that would take people into the parasympathetic nervous system. And he thought that this is going to be great for people. They're going to feel so relaxed. Yeah. So he did all this. What happened? So what happened was that he ended up coming back the next day, and the nurses were furious at him because patients had thrown chairs at windows, they'd acted out, they'd gone crazy because of it. The reason for that is it's important to have a solid identity. So soft, soothing music takes you a kind of dissolving of identity. It takes you into a relaxed place that if you have already a solid identity, a solid sense of who you are and are comfortable within that, then it will feel great. You'll feel really relaxed. You'll feel really calm. If you don't have that, it's actually that dissolving of identity is going to create a paranoid, schizophrenic, very jarring, scary place. And so what he discovered is actually first you need to work with the identity to build it up using strong rhythm kind of movements, things that kind of give that strong sense of self with the sympathetic nervous system before you start dissolving the identity. And so the idea is a strong, completed identity can relax and surrender. Yeah. If the identity doesn't feel complete, then it's going to feel fragmented. And so we're working with that on the curve of the week, dropping people into deeper things later in the week. And also with the music throughout the ceremonies, throughout different parts, we're really aware of those things. So those things are planned out.
Yeah.
They're not said at all, but I'm giving you a little bit of theory behind it.
Yeah, that's nice. There's always a thought about at the back, or how do you say that? Like behind it. Yeah, that's nice. And so why people who are curious about Tantra or all these things you tell, so what's the main reason for them to come to your festivals, or why should they come?
I think, and maybe you can add on to this, but I think it's a great way to, if you're Tantra curious, you get to meet many different teachers from many different styles. We've also been doing this for more than 10 years, for it must be about 13, 14 years now. So it's, we have our system, we know what works, and we create safety, but it's a great way to, like a smorgasbord or like a buffet, you get to kind of pick and choose. And then when you find something that really works for you, then you can go deeper into a training with those teachers. And I'd say there's these incredible Tantra temples in India called Khajuraho. And on the outside, they have all these sexualized images and crazy things. Inside, there's none of that. It's almost like meditation and maybe aliens in the wall. But before people were allowed to go into the inner temples, they first had to be in the outer gardens. And they had to look at these images. And as they're looking at them, they have to get to a point where they're no longer like lost in desire for them or in revulsion and judging them. That they can just allow them to be. And then that was the state that you could then go on to the deeper mysteries. So the Tantra Festival is like those outer garden walls. It's like the outer temples where you get a chance in a light way to put your foot in a little bit to this. Maybe some people are into BDSM or something. That's also possible, although I might not say that's particularly Tantra, but it happens at these festivals. Or maybe someone loves energy work or breath work, or they find the teachings and lineages that resonate with them. Yeah. And when they go to the training, that's like going into the deeper part. That's when the deeper mysteries are kind of revealed, normally in a smaller group as well. Yeah. So they want to experience things to grow. That's sort of why that's why I stepped into the Tantra field, of course. But and for you, like, what would you say? Why would you say you really have to come to this festival?
I think it gives hope to humanity. I think there's so much competition and war and fighting and sadness and despair on the planet, and things are getting faster and wilder every day, that it's easy to lose anchor and to get lost in the sauce of despair. And I feel like Tantra, and especially these festivals, give a glimpse of another way to live, another way to be, that instead of living from our power center and wanting to control and to win and all of that, that there's a heart-centered way of being. And that there's people out here that are also invested in wanting to create a healthier, happier, more harmonious earth. And not saying that Tantra is the only way to get there, but it is a way. It's a path of love. It's a path of falling in love with life itself, everything, including yourself. So the more you love yourself, the easier that love overflows, and you can love everyone and everything around you. And so when you create a space for 300 loving beings to come and to release what's in the way of love together, and then give and share more love, it just ripples love around the planet. And so that's one of the reasons that I love doing it, not just because of the fun and the friends and the community, but also for the energetic effect that it has on humanity.
And let's face it, we're sexually repressed in most cultures around the world. And so that's the thing probably that most people are maybe looking for in some way, especially when they're starting out, or they're looking how to improve their relationships. And so I think a Tantra festival is an obvious place to start looking there. And as any marketing, like sex sells. Yeah. So that's, we already know that's what attracts people in. And so maybe people are coming for that, But what we like to say is that they come for sex and then we try to hand them God under the table. So it's like sex is the doorway,
Yeah.
because that has our desire and our curiosity.
Yeah.
And they might find some beautiful things around lovemaking and those practices, but probably we hopefully expand that desire to include how you're making love with life in each and every moment.
Yeah. So how do you work with lust coming around then in the festival? Because a lot of people are triggered like, oh, we can have like wild sex things in the Tantra field, but then spiritual, because then it's Tantra. But also, yeah, lust comes up. That's like, it's also an old pattern we all like have in our systems. So it comes up in the festival, and I have the feeling that you just can't you can't do it the way you did it back home. People don't resonate with it anymore. Or how do you see that? Like when sometimes you see in the festival and you see those like the haantjes, we call it, like the roosters. They're like, ooh, we're gonna grab someone. This one is attractive. I'm gonna hunt her. And of course the other way around as well, like women and men. But I think you can't get far with that in the Tantra festival. So how do you handle lust or things like that?
Yeah, and you probably have more experience of that being a participant than we do, kind of holding the spaces. So you probably see a lot more of it and you feel it in the field. But as you're saying, I think that self-regulates. I think people get the feedback from other participants. And so maybe someone comes trying ways of being that work for them in other scenes. I think the participants and the organism as a whole regulates that if someone might be able to do that in a way that feels great and people respond to it. But if someone is doing it in a way that is demeaning or not honoring of others, I think very quickly they'll get the message of that, and that's good feedback. We call that feedback.
Yeah, and not to demonize lust, because all human emotions and feelings are welcome in the space. It's about the consciousness behind it.
Yes, exactly.
And so if they're approaching with consent, with boundaries, with communication, then that's one way. If it's unconscious, like James said, we've given so many tools and helped so many people release people pleasing and speak up for themselves and self-advocate, that there's so many powerful beings running around, becoming even more powerful, that will not hesitate to lovingly state their boundaries and bring awareness to maybe behaviors that aren't feeling so great in the field.
Yeah.
Some of the Vajrayana Buddhism is actually working directly with that they say that their path is the transformation of desire. And so as opposed to excluding desire, saying that's wrong or lower and that we just meditate in the cave, and then it's to allow those desires fully, but without the need to act them out.
Yeah.
And so that would be a very tantric practice that creates sublimation, when the energy of that, the fullness of that desire is there, and the awareness is being met. So that's, you could say, the fullness of that desire is Shakti. The awareness, just holding that desire, is Shiva. And so that is the real meeting of Shiva and Shakti. That is the real sacred union.
Yeah.
And so it kind of plays out within that we can feel it fully, but it doesn't mean we need to do anything about it. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you could also bring it up to somebody who might also have the same desire. And because you've practiced asking for what you want, and someone else has practiced saying no and saying yes to what they do actually want, you could actually create that and have your fantasies in a safe container be fulfilled, if that's something you so wish.
Yes, exactly. But then it's conscious again.
Conscious,
so
yes.
It's all about the connection with the heart, connected to like your sex, and from there on, of course, lust isn't bad, but only if you're conscious and if you can set boundaries or agree on going wild.
Well, the tantric master Osho, Bhagwan Rajneesh, he wrote a beautiful book called From Sex to Superconsciousness. And that was important because he says that sex is the roots. And if you look at the chakra system, it's also part of that. And he was aware that quite purposely so, that we've been repressed sexually, and actually in many of our instincts, but it's a core one to be able to control people through religions, through different cultures, and that repression takes away our power. So he was reintroducing sexuality because if you don't have the roots, then the beautiful flower of compassion and consciousness can't even really grow. And so that's why it's important to bring in that sexuality. But of course, the tantric texts, such as the Vigyan Bhairav Tantra, I think there's only six of those 112 meditations are actually to do with lovemaking. And that's a nice way to kind of have an understanding of sex is part, or lovemaking is part of Tantra. But it's quite a small part. There's so many other ways that we're opening up our senses, working with our chakras, working with different meditations to expand our awareness. So
Yeah, and it's also maybe the connection between sex and life force energy, actually. So you can use it for making babies, or for making love and expanding your consciousness and your body's consciousness and growing, and also about getting the connection back between it's really a creative center, your life force energy, and then combined with your heart's energy and your intuition. So that's also the pathway of Tantra for me. Like, if you can let it all flow, you're such a big creative energy, and you don't have to like work hard like we did like last years and years and years.
Right.
It can flow to you. Yeah.
It helps awaken the fullness of who you are. Whereas a lot of religions, I feel, are heart up, and so they focus on love and scripture and all these things, but the body is somehow bad or shameful. In fact, there was the religion that I was raised in where we were born sinners. So right off the bat, just if you're having a body, you're already bad. Yeah. Whereas Tantra celebrates the fullness of who you are in its totality. And you are an energetic being, you're an emotional being, you're a sexual being, you're a sensual being, you're a creative being. You are all of these things. And so it includes the full gambit of it to allow you to be your full potentials. And when you awaken all aspects of yourself, all your chakras, all your bodies, you're unstoppable. Because then there's nothing in the way. So as you start to think and want and desire and create, life reflects that back to you, and manifestation becomes effortless and easy and almost instantaneous because there's nothing that's in the way. You're in alignment of what you say, do, and want. Starts to come in easily with nothing to block it.
Yeah. So do you have like a bigger vision for Awaken as love, or is it more like we just trust it will unfold? Because that's also a part of what you described. It will unfold and it will come to you. But there's also this human manifest. You can also have like a vision and work towards that.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
And I would tell people that, like, I'm the so-called founder or creator of Awaken as Love. I told a bunch of facilitators, hey, this is just one thing I found in the forest, but it seems pretty cool. It's not mine. Because it's not. So there's a lot of listening. So instead of it being me being able to claim my identity, that this is mine, there's a listening to source and feeling what wants to emerge. And that can happen when you get to a particular stage of development. You can start to tune into those things and be guided. Like, it stands on the shoulders of giants. So it didn't just pop out of nowhere. It's standing on like people like Osho, Ken Wilber, Rolando Toro from Biodanza, a lot of the shamanic guides and traditions I came from, so like Fool's Crow, Sun Bear, School of Lost Borders. And they have things that work. They've been tried and tested. The rites and passage that we use have been used for thousands of years to help people navigate difficult periods in their life. So it's not coming out of nowhere, and it is surrendered, but there are values within it. So like the name itself is Awaken as Love. So it's a waking up path. It's about becoming conscious of who you are. And it's not about necessarily adding something to you. You don't need to believe. We say, if it works for you, put it in your pocket. If it doesn't, you can throw it away. Because it's as love. So not to love, not something outside of yourself that if you work hard enough, you're going to gain. It's really about stripping away any ideas or conditioning. That one, most people have the wound that they're not good enough in some way. There's something wrong with them. And that you don't already know. So when we kind of like remove gently that conditioning, almost like washing it away, then people's authenticity can shine through. So, and it's recognizing that we're already love when
it's not even awakening, it's already there.
It's already there. It's just a realization.
Yeah. So, but if you make it into a bit more something concrete, so your concept is, you have a concept of your trainings, of the festival. Is there something like happening behind the scenes? We want to know, like evolving, or do you like adjust something after every festival, or is there something new coming? More like that.
There are. So we're using, we have the stage one, which kind of goes a bit more into the map of integral theory, and it teaches people a language. And that, we can say that's like downloading a new operating system for your brain. So it helps give this bigger picture of reality that people can then use to understand what's happening. And that's the best one I know so far. In stage two, we say that we kind of go off that map. So it's less in the mind and it's much more embodied. And we say that we give them a compass, which is the medicine wheel. And the medicine wheel is a journey through what natural cycles that we start to become aware of where our energy might have got stuck in one. And that's a ceremony of balance in some way. There are deeper mysteries that we're going to bring in a stage 3 in future. We also have one that's more focused on sexuality, such as Awaken as Eros. There's Vision Quest, which I hold myself, and another faculty member is also starting to hold with me. So there are rites of passages. There's Awaken as Energy, which is coming with myself, Monique, and Lawrence. And so as we're expanding and we have more people in our faculty, we're actually starting to be able to offer more and more different experiences, all different paths up that same mountain that will work for different people. So it's becoming a kind of almost a one-stop shop where you can find hopefully something that works for you.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Awaken as man, awaken as woman. So it's evolving, and that's one of the beauties of having a large faculty, that we can get together and brainstorm on how we want to evolve together.
And it's growing.
It is.
It's a whole family. It's becoming a family.
It is a family.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's the thing it is for them. It's community. And so they might not be teaching, but you know, they're still part of it, and they're still seeing their friends, and they still have that community that has a particular taste and vibe.
Yeah.
And it's also a mystery school. So the stage 1 or the earlier stages are really preparation for deeper mysteries that might eventually just be relevant for fewer and fewer people, but it's hopefully going deeper into that waking up path together. So it is taking people on a journey, and it is a little bit of a mystery.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about creating this ripple effect in the world, right? Because you can't like immediately get the war out of the countries, but you can get the war out of yourself and then ripple it out as love, like that.
Beautiful. And and it's a big part of what we teach is shadow work, ownership. It gives you choice. So as much as possible, when these things are happening in the world, when we can recognize where am I at war, then it's not going to figure itself out on the outside until people take responsibility for it inside themselves, I think, and in their relationships.
Yeah, yeah. I have one question. It's something else, but you have this thing around your neck.
Yes.
It's Isis, right?
Yes, I do have Isis.
So why do you have Isis around your neck?
Beautiful. And this goes back to the question you actually asked me earlier of like how does it evolve, and I shared just the very beginning when I first woke up. And it does evolve because I'll speak for myself. So as I started to expand my consciousness to beyond what I had been told and started to deprogram myself from what I had been brought up to believe and started to question myself of what I really believed for myself, I started having experiences that were unexplainable. And in one of them, or several of them, I had memories come back from another life. I don't call it past life because I don't believe that time is linear, but I have very vivid memories of a life in which I was a priestess in Egypt and working with the goddess Isis. And so it's an anchor point for me of remembering that these mysteries have been around for thousands of years, and they've been impacting humanity in beautiful ways, positive and profound ways for thousands of years, and that we have access to more than our physical senses can pick up.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a way for me to remember I'm connected to Source, and my life is magic, and I am magical, and it helps to bring joy in my world. Plus, it's pretty.
Yeah. And she's also really about motherly love, sort of, right? Like holding
indeed.
this space. Is
Absolutely.
that if you look at you too, like, because you also work together now.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your specific power in this? Are you like the visionary and you're like the feminine love, or how do you see that?
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably, I think you're right in terms of being the visionary. I initiated this and still guiding it with a large, so it's just to name, it's not just me and Taina here, there's a large group of people involved in that. So, and I'll let you name,
but at the core of it is the two of us. He's the creator, the visionary, he has the big picture ideas, and I'm great with the details. So, so together it's perfect because he can go really abstract and meta, and then I can come in with like some more of the practicals and like how to make it work, and the little, this person would be great for here and that for that, and so like putting it together, and we need both to be able to do what we do.
It sounds like Shiva Shakti coming together, right?
Very much so.
It is, and it's also. I made a conscious choice about this a while back in a previous relationship where there's a reason why I say it's not really just the two of us, and it's not just me. It's because I think for Awakeners Love to do what it wants to do is to recognize it has its own juice and its own energy. It's like I'm in service to Awakeners Love.
Yeah.
And when we put it like that, instead of putting a guru figure or a couple like king and queen archetypes in the middle, those are fallible.
Yeah, we don't want any of that.
And so it's actually more like becoming more like a wisdom of the collective. Yeah. So there's a lot of inclusion, a lot of space for people to come in and to contribute and to serve just as I do, and hopefully also to gain beautiful things back. So
that's so beautiful to see it like that. It's like really the whole energy field of Awakeners Love. It's more like a don't you call that an egregore, like an energy field, and it sounds a bit weird maybe, but you're more like the puppets that can orchestrate it on earth here.
Absolutely. I like to say that we're like gardeners, caretakers. We're looking after it right now. And if it was only about us, it's going to live and die with us.
Beyond us. But I do have the mama bear energy when it comes to it. And our faculty and our participants, I absolutely do have that, like wanting to love on and nurture and take care of and help grow.
And it's felt. It's felt in the festival. That's why I'm such a big fan, because sometimes you feel sort of the ego parts moving in it with some other organizations, and it feels really loving and earthy and, I don't know, safe. Yeah.
We're not perfect, but we
that's life, right?
And we're doing our part to bring in the new earth, to really land another option, another way of being for people who are looking for a softer, more loving way to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually to make the transition from coming out of the festival, so much love, and then you have to function in real world. I was like, so it takes some time to integrate all that love and then function in this world. Yeah, we're in this duality, of course, but yeah.
It challenges what's normal. I remember the first time I went to festivals, and then it is such a powerful experience, especially the first time. And then you're like, you have to realize, I can't just hug this shopkeeper right now. You know, like what is appropriate?
But hopefully what it's doing too is that it's giving people the tools so that when they do go back to their normal lives, they're not so triggered when they get cut off in traffic. They're more helpful when they see someone in need or compassionate, or there's more pause between reaction when their boss is mean to them or whatever. There is just a better way to integrate life's experiences and to respond with more maturity, with more wisdom, with more joy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's a nice one to end with. Do you have something else you really feels that needs to be said at the moment?
No, I really appreciate everything that you've contributed to the space and showing up the way that you have to the festival and to the stage 1 training and witnessing you and your process and your growth. That's one of the things that lights me up about this work, is to really see people growing and expanding in their power and their grace and in their impact on the world. Like you're doing your podcast now.
Thank you.
It's an honor to witness. So
Thank you. Thanks for that.
I'll just ditto all that. It's great to see you, and I wish you huge success with this podcast. I think it's really valuable, and you're obviously introducing people into lots of different topics that might be a bit unfamiliar.
Yeah.
So I love how you're doing your part in service as well.
Thank you. And also that, again, it's not about me. It's about sharing the love in the world. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you.